Hello. Well, in the previous videos I've been working on the change gearbox and I'm still working on that. I've ordered some spare parts and started refurbishing it, but I'm not ready to put that up yet. Meanwhile, I've got the headstock to look into, and that is what this video is about. Right, well now I can take the lid off the headstock. But before doing that, I'll just do a few tests on the spindle. Well, I don't really like the appearance of the internal taper on this spindle. Looks pretty kind of chewed up, doesn't it? This taper, which centralises the chucks, it's got a few dings on it too. So if we look at that, well, it's hard to know. Certainly within a 10.01 millimeters or 10 microns. It's hard to know how much of the movement is genuine run out and how much is just caused by dings. Well, on the internal taper, it's hard to know. I think those are just going into the dings. Yeah. So long as those dings don't mislocate the collet, we're alright, or whatever you put in there. Well, just see if I can move the spindle upwards by levering it underneath. It doesn't move at all. Well, now for the first time I can have a look inside the headstock. And if it looks anything like the gearbox looked like, all rusty and gungy, then I should be seriously upset, because it would mean that I should not have bought this lathe. But I'm hopeful it should look okay. Well, the gears aren't rusty. The oil level in here is about an inch below what it should be. That doesn't exactly look at all clean. I already know these gears work. Well, I'm not going to disassemble that. That looks absolutely fine. I'll just flush it out completely and put some fresh oil in. I'm just trying to take this thing off. That looks nice, doesn't it? Right. Well, let's say those could be improved, attention on that. What's a bolt? Nice bolt there, I don't remember taking it out. I don't think that's part of the lathe, but I'll keep it there in case. This is a piece of scrap piece of plastic. Well, I think one can say this lathe has had some serious use, but I don't see anything untoward at the moment, apart from in that gearbox which we've already dealt with. Right, well, I just want to get this thing off, which is the world's most old-fashioned light, plus this thing which is part of the automatic collet thing that we discussed a long time ago. So that should be a 400 volt to 115 volt transformer. And it has a cork joint washer in it, which is almost entirely absent. So there's 1, 2, 3 screws holding this onto the headstock, and I presume they also hold this thing. Yes. Right, we'll see what comes out, if anything, from the headstock. Looks fine, doesn't it? Nothing to complain of there. And yes, there is a magnet in the bottom of the drain plug. Well, this is what I collected off the bottom of the drain plug. It's there's no big things in it, it's just very fine magnetic material of some kind. So I think that's a good sign. Well, I'm just going to lift the headstock off in a minute. Before that I've got to get these belts off. The motor is held in position by 3 M10 bolts. One of them is here, one of them is there, and the third one is here. But before I can lift the motor up much, I've got to undo up this tensioning screw here and another one on the other, somewhere there. So this is 8mm square thing, and I just got to wind it up to get it out of the way. This one on the left side is particularly tiresome because there's very little movement of the spanner available. So if I put the motor up this way, come on, you can come off there. You will come off there, thank you. And this one is going to come right. Now we can just unbolt the headstock and lift it up. So there are 4 bolts securing the headstock, which I've all loosened. I had to shorten this Allen key before I could get it in there. So there, one there, and 2 the other side. One here and one here. And it would also be a good idea to remove this brake, which is pivoted on the headstock. That comes off. But I don't think this will come off here because the brake shoe is in the way. Now there's another one of those funny clips. Right, I've got that one out. That's on this pin. So now you take that out, it frees that, and that frees that. I don't think there's anything holding the headstock down except self-weight. Well, on the outside, the headstock bolt towards the front is shorter, whereas at the inside, if you like to call it that, these 2 bolts are exactly the same length. In fact, there are 3 bolts, 3 short bolts, one here, 2 on the other side, and 1 long bolt. Well, I'm just going to take this off from here so that that is on that thing which seems more substantial. Well, I've got it slung like that with the purple strap round the only substantial things that are sticking out, and then I put this nylon, white nylon rope round the back because I think as it is lifted it's going to rotate that way otherwise. Well, I don't think these straps are going to come off, but I just put this red thing round to discourage them from slipping off that if they should be so minded. Right, so off we go. No idea how much this weighs. Can't be an enormous amount. Well, I'm just going to put it down over here. I feel sure 2 men can pick this up anyway. And I haven't got 2 men here at the moment. So a more interesting question is, what do the ways look like? Right, well, the part of the ways upon which it rests, here, here and here are not noticeably rusty, except a bit here. And we've got some archaeology here we could do. How many years of chips are there in here? Nothing interesting, just a lot of swarf. Wish this can would learn to squirt properly. It's possibly empty. Almost empty. This is white Scotch-Brite, which has no abrasive in it. I'm just trying to remember what this is for. Oh, these are... Oh, that's right. These are the adjustment screws for pushing down on the motor to tension the belt. Well, I guess this shows that they spray paint this lathe after it's been assembled, otherwise there wouldn't be paint on here, would there? Right, well, I've just cleaned the ways up roughly. I noticed when looking at it from this end that it appeared to be sitting on the two V-ways and also on this, but not on that. And it's interesting that this shows some signs of having been scraped here and here. And I would have thought it would sit on the V-ways but not on the flat ways. Maybe they scraped it to stop it resting on here so that it was resting on the V-ways. I'm not sure. But anyway, it does look as if it's been scraped in a rather strange way. So this is the front V-way, that's the front flat way, and that is the scraping, which all seems to go in this direction. And I wouldn't say is notably skillfully done. It's not exactly what I would expect to see for scraping. But it wouldn't matter if the aim was simply to get this out of the way so that it really was resting on the V-way. It wouldn't matter that it was crude. Well, that's the back V-way, and the headstock rests on that bit of it, not on the middle bit. And again, it's possible that it's been scraped there. If we look at the other side of it, you think that's been scraped here? Similarly at the back, here, it rests. I don't know. Anyway, I'm not going to mess with any of that unless we find some serious misalignment, which I'm hoping we don't. Well, being trained as a physicist, I can't stop measuring things, so I just wondered how much this headstock weighed. And don't turn yourself off. So the headstock weighs 77.5 kilograms, which is about 13% of the total weight of the lathe.